It's so dangerous because you have all of the leverage to actually drive in so much power because you have leverage on your shoulders. The person on the ground, you can't rotate your shoulders. You can't generate a lot of power.
Violence destroys. Weaponizing is the counter strategies to violent criminal assault. Hey, I'm Greg LaBeouf, aka The Violence Guy, and I'm sharing with you how I went from the victim of a brutal attempted murder to mastering the tool of violence and protecting myself and family, and how you can do the same from the safety and comfort of your own home. Welcome to Weaponizing DIY.
If they fell to the ground, it's going to fall to the ground. Boom, they land on top. The first thing Brad is looking to do, now let me actually point out the little side thing. It's a great habit. Look where Brad's arms are. Just max it up for 2 seconds. Brad, if he hits the ground like that, he brings his arms inside, uses his hands to create like little pockets so that he can kind of make sure that his arms are in tight and he's protecting his face. Not just from hits, but he's protecting his face in case this big guy lands on top of you. You've got to place a little breathing pocket in there. Helps you to stay a little bit calmer. So that was just a great habit. Now what Brad is doing right now is he's feeling, what is this guy going to do? And the second he feels Max start to sit up, okay, especially if the hands are pushing off the ground like that, the first thing that comes to Brad's mind, is he's sitting up to hit. And when that's what Brad associates that feeling of Max sitting up on him. His brain right away goes, oh, punches, incoming. So when that starts to happen, go back down, watch what Brad does. This is what I want you to do. As this guy goes to sit up, see how Brad right away sits with him and wraps his arm around his waist. Okay, release and go back one more time. So sit up quicker this time, Mac. There, see how that's what I was looking for. Do that one more time so everybody can see that. They land, sits up, and he wraps. Okay, that's what I want you to do. So if you've got your training partner with you today, you start by dropping back on the ground, tucking your arms in, have your partner simulate that you fell so that you feel his weight on top of you, and then have him sit up. And as he sits up, I want you to reach, grab around his waist as tight as you can, pin your head tight to his stomach. Now the second you did that, Max sitting up thinking, I still want to try to hit, I want to try to push on his head. So what you need to do, and I'll flip the angle in a second, is Brad's going to plant his feet hard, and he's going to pull and push Mac forward. Go ahead. Explodes. Now you see that? So he used his legs, and look how his hips come off the ground. I will flip this in 2 seconds. Sit back up, do it again. Okay, so let him reposition. Okay, so Max sits up, Brad grabs, bends his legs, pushes off his legs, and explodes. He pulls him forward. When that happens, Mac can't help but fly forward. His hands have to hit the ground to stabilize. Brad maintains his strong grip. Okay, maintains it. Now, because we've already introduced the bite and the gouge, so long as there's not a big winter jacket in the way and all that kind of stuff, Brad could turn in, find some space on the abdomen there, and start gnawing a hole through him. Another incentive for him to get off. But for today, let's just say the bite's not warranted or it's not available because of a big jacket or something. What Brad is also doing, see how he's keeping his hips and his legs pressed into him. If he just pulled them in and then relaxed, Max sits up. See how easy that was for Mac to sit up? Go back to where you were. Keep your legs towards. Now sit up. See how hard it is for Mac to sit up? Because Brad's pushing. And if he did try to sit up, Brad pushes again. And he just keeps the pressure. If Mac kept trying to scramble back up, Brad would keep trying to push him forward. There's a tug of war going on here. Okay? But you got your whole entire body and legs. It's going to be easier for you to maintain and keep him down here than it is for him to balance and posture up. But once you kind of get to a position where he pauses or he tires or he stalls out for just a second or two, Brad is going to take one arm up and grab his shoulders. Okay? Then he starts to wiggle himself up and the other hand comes up and grabs the other shoulder. And see how he wiggled himself up. Now I'm going to have them do this again. So back up for me a little bit, guys, and start from the position with your arms around his waist. So Brad's already thrown him to the ground once, and Brad will keep doing that. If Mac keeps trying to sit up, Brad just keeps throwing him down. But when Mac kind of tires out or stalls out for a second, Brad quickly shoots one arm to the shoulder. Now, one at a time. Come back. Don't do both. If he does both for that fraction of a second, he's letting go and losing control, and Mac could sit up. One at a time. So Brad has him. One goes to the shoulder. Now, Mac, just maybe lift your arm for a quick sec. If you guys can see, can you put it straight above your head, like Superman? Yeah. When he has the arm, I know it's harder for Brad because I'm manipulating Brad's arm, or Mac's arm, but Brad will start pulling on the shoulder and he starts wiggling himself up. That's what he's trying to do. Remember, Mac wouldn't have just given up. He's not just lying on him dead weight like your partner might be. He was still trying to move and trying to sit up, which means he's creating space. So wiggling yourself up isn't that difficult. It's not you underneath a 300-pound person who's just unconscious lying there and you're like, I can't wiggle myself up. They're still trying to sit up and move. So Brad had one shoulder started to wiggle. Other shoulder starts. Now what does that do? That starts to contain Mac's ability to punch a little bit. But look what Mac's trying to do, still push off the ground to sit up. This gives us a window of opportunity. The second Brad feels a little space there, he swims his arm around, underneath, over top, and reaches through and grabs as deep on his own shirt as he can. So everyone can see where he's grabbing deep and through there. And then he slams his elbow tight to his body. The other arm is kind of up over the head like this now. He's got him pulled down into him. Okay, let's go back and watch that one more time, just from that position. So his arms start on his shoulders. You can start on his shoulders. Yeah, he's here. Because Mac's trying to pull up, there's distance here. Underneath, over top, reach through and grab. It's the most important thing. One more time, because I'll show you. Just one more time, please. When your arm's already here, people tend to just slide down and they just try to hold that. It's not strong enough, really. Okay, Mac can start punching from that point. When Mac goes to push up, Brad's arm comes under and reaches over, reaches through and grabs. Pull your elbow tight to your body. No space between here if you can help it. Okay, now guess what? He's got him trapped, and he's going to work virtually from this, the same thing as the trap and roll escape yesterday, almost in the sense that his foot steps over, he grabs and traps that leg of the table. He's got this leg of the table trapped up. Now I'm going to pause right here. If you're doing this with a partner, your partner may have their hand flat because they have just previously been trying to push up off the mat. If you roll them over and their arm is like that, you're going to catch their wrist and potentially break their wrist. Pause here for a second. Let them turn their palm up. Okay? So that way when the roll happens, we don't catch anybody's wrist. Okay? Very, very important. Go slow with this. I'll just back out of the way. What Brad's going to do now is still use his legs to explode him up and at a 45. He bridges him up and rolls him over. And look at his hands. Slid right back into the same position as yesterday. And go ahead. And he's going to execute the same open guard pass that we did yesterday.